The following resource is intended to serve as a companion guide to the harassment and discrimination policy. It is helpful to have a copy of the policy on hand as you watch these videos. You can find a copy of the policy by going to the St. FX Human Rights and Equity website, clicking on the Policy tab, and then selecting the link to the Harassment and Discrimination Policy. This guide is not intended to replace the policy. It is a tool designed to help those who want to learn more about the options St. FX can provide to resolve issues of harassment and discrimination at our university. St. Francis Xavier University does not tolerate harassment and discrimination. St. FX is committed to maintaining a positive and respectful learning, living, and working environment that respects the rights of St. FX community members to learn, study, live, and work free from harassment and discrimination. The policy prohibits all forms of harassment and discrimination. It establishes and maintains a climate and culture where everyone enjoys a safe and respectful environment and establishes a procedure to respond promptly and seriously to complaints that is procedurally fair and treats everyone with dignity and respect. This policy applies to all members of the St. FX community, including but not limited to students, staff, administrators, faculty, librarians, members of the Board of Governors, adjunct or visiting faculty, and postdoctoral fellows. Behavior which constitutes harassment or discrimination and which impacts the work, study, university-related activity, or the on-campus living environment of a member of the university community is covered by this policy, whether or not the behavior occurs on campus. St. FX's harassment and discrimination policy and procedures are based on principles of fairness and due process for complainants and respondents. All members of the St. FX community have the right to express legitimate concerns about incidents of harassment and discrimination that they are experiencing in their education, work, or residence at St. FX without fear of reprisal. Anyone who attempts reprisal or threatens reprisal against a person who initiates a complaint or participates in proceedings under this policy may be subject to disciplinary action. The policy shall not be applied in such a way as to detract from the right to engage in the frank discussion of potentially controversial matters that are legitimate topics within the university setting. The policy shall not be applied so as to have the effect of limiting appropriate discussion of controversial matters or prohibiting bona fide instructional techniques, such as the use of irony, the use of conjecture and refutation, or the assignment of readings that advocate controversial positions, provided that such discussion and instruction are conducted in a mutually respectful and non-coercive manner. Let's look at how the harassment and discrimination policy works with other St. FX policy. For students, the harassment and discrimination policy replaces the Student Code of Conduct in cases involving harassment and discrimination. The Sexual Violence Response Policy applies to all Xaverians. It addresses disclosures and formal reports of sexual violence, including sexual harassment and sexual assault as defined by that policy. Sexual violence is not covered under the harassment policy. In the next video, we'll look at important policy definitions.